Afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to TBD, the Colorado Springs Real Estate Podcast. I'm Rob Thompson, associate broker with the agency here in Colorado Springs, and we're going to do a little round robin intros here, but we're all back this week, so you want to start us off, Mike? Who are you?
Sure. My name is Mike Mattice. I'm with Total Living Concepts, and you can reach me at 719-505-3467.
Nanette Lampman, also an associate broker with the agency. You can reach me at 719-661-9889.
And I am Laurie Ristig, another realtor here with the agency. And you can find me on Facebook, find me on the website, or give me a call.
Cool. All right. I think we all have a Facebook presence too, and I'll link in the comments to this podcast. I'll link everybody's broker or loan pages. But let's jump right into it. So we're going to start out this week with a market summation. And Nanette, I think you have some numbers you want to share with us. What's the market look like today?
Well, as of today, we've got 27 new listings, 21 price decreases on homes that were already on the market, 64 went under contract, and total 2120 active listings.
2120 active listings on the market right now?
Yep.
I think we're at
about
700.
300. Yeah, that's about 300 up from where we were last week.
Yeah.
So I think we're at 1733. What's the math on that one?
So it's about a little over 300, 330 increase.
New homes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think why the dump of new listings? Any thoughts on that?
Actually, no, I don't have any thoughts on that at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
That's your area of expertise.
Okay. Well, I also our average pricing too. What are we looking at there, Laurie?
Average price is $306,878, and our median price is $274,900.
Okay. I think we saw an increase in days on market too from month to month, right?
Yep. An additional 9 days on market. From July to now, the average days on market today is 32 days on market for a home.
So what story is that painting if we're seeing an increase in days on market, an increase in listings, an increase in average sales price, but contrast that with an increase in days on market?
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that we might be looking at a slowing of the market as the average price increases.
Yep, homes are sitting there longer.
Okay.
And more of them.
And there are more of them because they're not flying off the shelves.
And the more homes we have listed, the more it floods the market with inventory. Or
correct.
I don't know that flood is an accurate term in this market since inventory is near this year a 10-year low. But okay.
It's more of a trickle.
More of a trickle.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is having a net effect of increasing the days on market for some homes, it looks like. Okay, well, that's our market summation for the week. We're going to do a new segment to this, a new segment in our new podcast, and that is the word of the day. So, Nanette, what do you got for us?
What I have today is market value, the definition of which is the theoretical highest price a buyer, willing but not compelled to buy, would pay, and the lowest price a seller, willing but not compelled to sell, would accept.
Why do we care what market value is?
I mean, it's all well and good if you think your home is worth $500,000 because you put this lovely wallpaper that you loved and the high-end golden refrigerator in, but not everybody would like that and might want to rip it out and will think your house is only worth $250,000. And so it's that average between what someone is willing to pay and would be willing to sell it for. So
if I have a finance loan, Mike, and I think I'm a seller, I put my house on the market for $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's the check on that optimism? Your
overall loan balance. You have to be able to pay that off when you sell your home. Otherwise, you're going to be writing a check at the closing table.
Okay, so that's it, and that's if I can get a willing buyer.
Correct.
There's a check on the buyer too, right, for financed loans.
Correct.
And that is the appraised value. So I know one thing I do when I'm pricing homes with sellers is that I tell them that the appraiser is Judge Dredd, the law, judge, jury, and executioner. So I say, we can price whatever you'd like within reason, but you are ultimately the seller and driving the process. But I tell them the appraiser is the reality check on that pricing.
Correct.
Okay. What happens if an appraisal comes in low?
Well, there's going to have to be a price adjustment, or the buyer's going to have to write a check.
Or terminate the transaction.
The transaction, correct.
Okay. So
I like to keep deals alive. So
yeah. That is a third option. Okay, so market value is our word of the day. And our content this week we just thought we'd ask the question that what are some things each of us would wish we'd known when we walked into home ownership, good, bad, or ugly. And I'll start with Mike. Well, Mike, what's something you wish you'd known?
Well, when I moved here in 2004, I purchased a little bit bigger home than I probably should have, and the maintenance was just too time consuming for me at the time. So I wish I had about a little bit smaller house when I moved here.
It's usually, interestingly, I've had clients where we're walking through homes and sometimes they try to talk themselves into a smaller home because of the price point. I had one instance where someone with little boys was talking about squeezing 3 little boys into one room, and I asked them to actually invert that and look at it. Would this house work for them when those little boys were teenagers? And instantly they were like, no. And so we found them actually a bigger house in that case. But I now in our house, I wish we were on one floor, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Nanette? What's something you wish you'd known, good, bad, or ugly, before venturing into home ownership?
Well, I have the good one.
What's the good one?
The good one is the tax write-off. You're able to deduct your mortgage interest each year off of your taxes, which is huge. In conjunction with maybe having kids to claim, it really helps on taxes. So it's just another side benefit of home ownership versus renting.
So do I get to write my whole payment off?
No. Just your mortgage
Just
interest.
my mortgage interest.
You can do that, but Uncle Sam might be upset.
That is not tax advice, by the way.
No.
Always consult Mike Mattice. No, just kidding. CPA.
Yeah.
CPA before taking any tax advice from us. What about you, Laurie? What's something you wish you'd known?
Well, when I moved to Colorado Springs, I moved from out of state. I had literally never been here before. And we drove in, looked at homes over a weekend, picked one that we thought was great and perfect for our family, and it is a lovely house. But we didn't know neighborhoods. We didn't know where our kids would be going to school. And my husband actually ended up changing jobs, so he works on the other side of town too. So we do a lot of driving because we're on the east side, but most of the things we do, our children's school, my husband's work, everything is on the west side of town. And we actually looked at a house that was 3 blocks from my kid's current school. And had I researched those schools beforehand, and had I envisioned where are we going to be, where is our community, we would have picked a house that was closer to our community.
Is that something you really could have known from a quick stop in the Springs?
I mean, from a quick stop in the Springs, maybe just from, getting the vibe of different areas, but really, I feel like researching schools, because I had, when we moved here, a newborn and a 2-year-old, and I knew that we were going to be in the home we moved into for a while. And so, if I had just done a quick research of schools, I mean, they're going to the school I definitely would have picked. So,
cool. For me personally, it's we bought our first home on the presumption of 2 adults being fully employed at all times, and budgeted accordingly. And so we bought way too much price house for our budget, and then it just happened to be in 2006. And 6 months later, 6 months later in Las Vegas, Nevada, the market crashed everywhere, but in Vegas there was a 67% per cap, 67% per capita loss on the value of our home. And what that ultimately meant was I was there, and my wife, her job was dependent on the economy. So when it took a hit, she was laid off, and then I was having to carry the mortgage on my single paycheck. Fortunately, it was a stable paycheck. I was in the military, but one whole paycheck went to that mortgage payment. And anyway, long story short, that's my regret, is that when you're buying a home, I highly suggest that you budget for. Can I carry this? What are my expectations? Am I looking at dual income forever? That's my recommendation. Anybody else? Got any other issue?
Nope.
I've got nothing else to offer today. No.
Nothing else to offer today? Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the next segment, and that is our interest rate 8-ball.
Well, Rob, I actually shook the 8-ball a little bit earlier, and it said that it's going to probably float for a little while, and there's a couple reasons for that.
Okay.
The indictments that came down on Monday, or today, I should say, are keeping rates flat, and also the possible nomination of Jerome Powell by Donald Trump, who's considered more dovish, may actually have an impact on the markets and keep interest rates where they're at, or maybe even tick down just a touch.
Well, that was a lot more sober than our 8-ball.
Yeah.
So we think they're going to float for a little bit?
Yeah, when I say a little bit, a couple days, then we'll see where it's going to go. It really depends on what Trump's going to do as far as nominating Jerome Powell.
Okay. So new chairman of the Fed coming in?
Correct.
Not to put you on the spot, but when a new chairman comes in, is there usually a fluctuation in interest rates?
There can be.
Okay.
There can be, yeah. But everybody seems to think the same thing about Mr. Powell, which is he's a little dovish and probably going to be a little bit more conservative about raising interest rates in the future. So we'll see.
Not to go down a financial rabbit hole here, but there is a lot of talk about interest rates needing to rise to offset inflation.
I would actually agree that interest rates do need to go up a little bit. I'd like to see them probably closer to 5.5, and that's only because there's a lot of self-employed people out there that don't have programs that they can have access to, and lenders aren't necessarily wanting to lend to people that are self-employed. You can get those loans right now, and they're at 6.5 to 8, depends on your credit. But it might open up more programs.
Kind of force lenders to be more competitive?
I don't think it'd be forcing lenders to be more competitive. I think it has more to do with being able and more willing to take a risk.
Okay. Well, but if so, say interest rates there, what are they around right now? Around 4%?
The 4.375, okay. Maybe even 3.875 if you have excellent credit with a lot down.
Okay. But what if interest rates rise, Nanette? What effect does that have on the housing prices?
They go down.
They go down. So won't that have what kind of effect are we looking at then? If we want it raised, we want.
It's a balancing act,
yeah,
for sure. Especially since we've had such an inflation in prices in this town the last couple of years.
So if interest rates rise, forcing price pressure down.
Right.
At the same time, more homes are coming on the market and days on market are increasing. Do we have a prediction on what that might look like?
I would say in 3 to 5 years, you could see potentially a lot of people doing short sales because they're going to have a hard time selling their homes.
When they paid so high this year.
Yeah, I think we talked last week about planning for the resale now.
Correct.
And I think that's still salient and sage advice. And what we mean by that is if you're buying a house in this market right now, which we're all in the industry and we'd love to represent you, but we want to do so with integrity and authenticity. If you're going to go buy, say, a $250,000 house, one of my rules of thumbs is to plan that you're going to need 10% appreciation to resell. Mm-hmm. And if we're looking at these things that we're talking about with price pressure, possibly due to raised interest rates, it's not a foregone conclusion that prices will continue to appreciate.
That is correct.
Okay. Lots of variables, huh? So
there always is.
There always is. So would this be? Are we all in agreement maybe that this is a week to kind of just keep your eye on the market and just?
Well, I think we mentioned this last week. If you're moving here and you intend to keep your house for a while, and that's the house that you want to be in, then you probably want to find the house of your dreams and go ahead and purchase. If you're out of here in 3, maybe you want to think about it. Okay.
Yeah, that was my philosophy when I bought my most recent house after my mistake of 10 years ago, and that was buy for the long haul. Assume that this is going to be my forever home,
or just plan to be a landlord.
Yeah, they were planning to be a landlord. Yeah,
when you move away.
Yeah, that was my advice now to my clients. In this case, I knew this would be my forever home.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the good news is, Rob, you're a property manager, so.
That's true. That's actually what we walked that path because of the demand from the marketplace of folks who didn't want to or couldn't sell their homes in the last year. The demand was clear, so we opened our doors to property management as well. Okay, so that's your market summation and your content this week and your interest rate 8-ball from Mike Mattice. I want to wrap up this segment this week with a new thing in our new podcast, and that is a book or website recommendation. Any websites that you two frequent or books that you'd recommend?
I don't have one at the moment.
Okay, no worries. Well, the book that I would recommend to anybody interested in entrepreneurship, or even if there's Seth Godin, he wrote a book called Linchpin, and he also speaks to intrapreneurship, that it is possible to be a linchpin within an existing organization. And It's just a great book. It talks about frameworks, talks about what's it mean to be a linchpin, how do you add value in any role, and or specifically, how do you add value in every interaction in that role. And if you can do that consistently, then you are a linchpin in an organization and you'll just add value. Then I just wrap up with a website recommendation as well, and that's what'smypayment.com. This is probably, and it's not my website, so it's not a shameless plug, but it's probably the best mortgage calculator that I've seen, independent of loan officers' websites. It's out there, and it lets you factor in taxes and insurance. So, it clearly itemizes a down payment. Where some of the websites out there, they assume a 20% down payment, and that can really skew a consumer's perception of what their final mortgage on a property is going to be. But I would also say that if you're out there home shopping, call us. But if you're out there home shopping, always have your lender, like Mike, run a price analysis when you're making an offer on a home, so that
Correct.
you have what could happen if you don't.
You can underestimate what your payment's going to be and then be sorely disappointed when you find out you don't qualify.
A couple of days or a week or 2 weeks into the process sometimes.
Correct.
Yeah, so always do the math on any payment. Do you have a website, Mike?
www.mikemattice.com. MikeMattice.
And I assume you have a mortgage calculator on that website too.
I am the mortgage calculator.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Give me a call and I can help you guys figure out exactly what your payment's going to be.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for the next podcast, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.